Isn't it super expensive and complicated to add EV charging to a condo building? How much does it cost to make my building fully EV ready? Are there incentives or rebates that are available for these types of projects? The government better help me pay for a big portion of this. Those are the questions that we'll be answering today. The electrical infrastructure upgrade for EV charging. But first, if you're wondering who I am, my name's Trevor and I help launch 2 successful EV charging startups. And before you do an electrical infrastructure upgrade for your building, you'll need an EV ready plan. And if you need an EV ready plan, I'm happy to help. Usually the price of the EV ready plan is about $4,500, but if you send me an email with your strata number or your address, I'll reply with a formal estimate and I'm sure I can get you a discount. Right now, BC Hydro is offering a rebate of $3,000 for the EV Ready plan. So the total cost for your EV Ready plan will be under $1,500. And if you decide to move forward with the EV Ready plan, let us know and we'll contact you to set up the site visit. And before you know, you'll have the plan in your hands. My email is contact@strongenergy-ev.com. I also have a few resources that you can download, which will help you save time and money on EV charging projects. So keep an eye out for those in the links below. All right, let's go. So first off, what does it mean for a building to be EV ready? Being EV ready means that for every unit that's in the building, there is at least one parking stall that is ready to have an EV charger. For example, if your building had 100 units, then you'll have 100 stalls that are EV ready. So being EV ready doesn't mean that you'll have 100 EV chargers in your building. It just means that you'll have 100 stalls that are ready for an EV charger with all the wiring, the junction box, the receptacles, and everything. Okay, so how much does it cost to make your building EV ready? I'm a little bit apprehensive to put this number out there because the cost of these projects can swing so greatly depending on so many different factors. But I'm going to give you some rough numbers as a reference point anyways. But if you're looking for some true numbers for your building, again, give us a shout and we'll do a formal estimate through the EV Ready plan. But for now, the numbers that I'm going to give you are just for the infrastructure upgrade. These numbers don't include any EV chargers. These prices are just what it costs to make your building ready for the EV chargers. I took a handful of EV ready plans and divided the average cost of the project by the number of stalls that they had in the building. The infrastructure upgrade alone was usually between about $1,500 to $3,500 per stall. And again, this is without any EV chargers. So a very, very rough estimate per stall for making your building EV ready is about $2,200 per stall. And again, no EV chargers. And this swings pretty greatly. So for a new building, if it's made EV ready when the building is being built, then it could cost as low as maybe $1,000 per stall. But if it's an older building and you have to do a retrofit that is quite complicated, then it might end up being, let's say, $3,500 per stall. But again, super rough numbers as an example. Let's say your building had 100 units, then it might cost you 220 grand to make your building EV ready. And you don't really need to worry about buying a whole bunch of chargers and installing them right away. Most people in the building still won't need the chargers right now. For example, in my building, we made it fully EV ready a few years ago. And there's only maybe about 10-15% of people that have actually installed the chargers in their stalls. You can have the chargers installed at a later date, and this is quite common because these projects are usually done in phases or stages. I know this sounds like a lot of money, but don't worry because there are incentives or rebates, so the government will help pay for a big portion of this. I have a bad habit of calling these rebates, but BC Hydro always gets mad at me because the technical term is incentives. So let's talk about the incentives for the project itself. And I should mention that you need to have an EV ready plan done before you're able to apply for any of these incentives. All right, let's start with the EV ready electrical infrastructure incentive. BC Hydro offers a maximum of up to 50% of the total infrastructure costs, or $600 per stall, to a maximum of 120 grand. It's kind of confusing when they lay the numbers out like this, but essentially for our project, we're looking at about 60 grand in rebates back for our building of 100 units. Hydro also has incentives for buying the EV chargers themselves. For this one, they offer $1,400 in incentives or up to $14,000. And you're going to have more than 10 chargers. So basically you can get 14 grand back for incentives towards your chargers. So back to our example building, if we had 100 units and we paid 220 grand for our EV ready upgrade, then we could get back 60 grand in incentives from Hydro. This means that it would bring our total cost of the project down to 160 grand. So all the incentives that are available for this type of project from BC Hydro is equal to 137 grand. So that's a maximum of 3 grand for the EV ready plan, 120 grand for the electrical upgrade, and 14 grand for the chargers, which equals that 137. Now, I know some strata have concerns on how this is going to affect the non-EV drivers. And there's just a few things that I want to point out. The main one is the EV owners will pay for their own electricity to charge their cars. How I've seen this work is usually if you have a charger in your stall, then Strata will put you on a monthly fee to pay for that electricity. This fee usually ranges, it could be 15, 20, 30, maybe even $50 if it's on the high side. But whatever that monthly fee is going to cover the cost of electricity that the EV driver is using. And remember, this is an investment into your building. So having your building with EV infrastructure ready is going to increase the value and attract future buyers. And the incentives do cover a pretty big portion of the cost. So you're essentially getting a big discount if you're able to get those incentives while they last. Another thing that people don't usually think about is carbon credits. So these EV chargers have the ability to generate carbon credits for your building, which can also be worth a lot of money in the future. So the first step to getting this all done is the EV Ready plan. And again, I'm happy to help you with that if you need. Feel free to send me an email if you have any questions about EV charging in your condo building. My email's in the description below. And as always, I'd love if you were to subscribe to the channel and keep following the journey. Thanks so much for checking in, and I'll catch you on the next one. Cheers.